plan. It detailed it out. What this is, Natasha, is that it's only a draft. The first draft that we first had here was back in 2011, and the aim then was that every 2 years it would be re-looked at and reworked and rejected and so forth. However, we have not seen that. This is only the other time after 2011 that this plan has been looked at. And I'll give you a few pointers on what this plan seeks to do. Well, the integrated energy plan looks at the holistic energy plan for the country. It looks at the draft of whether South Africa's path to energy efficiency. It looks at certain scenarios. So it puts down a base case and it does certain scenarios that, for instance, if the economy grows by a certain margin, how much energy would we need? If the price of energy or buyers go up or go down, how much we would need, how much electricity we would need. It also looks at the energy mix. The energy mix would obviously be all the mix of energy that we use to go into the grid. This would be coal that we currently are using. This would be nuclear. This would be renewable. This would be your solar PVs and so forth. But I suppose what is of most interest to our viewers is what they should be doing with this draft plan that the Department of Energy has given to us. Well, what the Department of Energy wants you to do when you're sitting at home and you have access to look into the draft plan is to make a public comment, which means that you would make input regarding the assumptions that they've made in the draft. These are the assumptions that they've made that given the kind of scenario we have today, this is what we are likely to see with regards to energy future in the next 2, 3, 4, 10 or 20 years. And you would then make a comment basing it on the scenario that they have modeled. You would also give any other scenarios that you have that you think they should consider. And of course, you would put relevant inputs there. And you think, no, I think that as Mama Kumalo, I think that we want to use more coal, or we want to use more renewables, or we want to use more nuclear. And nuclear was another prominent topic that came up during this briefing, where we wanted to know whether Eskom would be going ahead with procuring for the nuclear energy. What we already know is that we were meant to procure 9,600 megawatts of nuclear energy, and what Eskom now is saying, as well as the Department of Energy, who's given Eskom all the rights, is that by 2037 the nuclear energy should already be in the system. And Eskom in turn is saying, fine, we are already going to test the market by the end of this year. We're going to test the market to see if there are any interested bidders who will finance nuclear. And they say they're going ahead and they expect it to be as early as 2025. Earlier on, I spoke to an analyst, an energy analyst, Mr. Chris Yelland, who is no stranger to our viewers, of course. He comments on all the energy issues, and he seemed to be quite disappointed in the route that the Department of Energy and Eskom have taken with regards to nuclear. He says that Eskom has chosen a scenario that best suits them and is already going ahead, and there seems to be no ceiling with regards to how much nuclear can be procured, which means that up to 20,000 megawatts of nuclear energy can be procured. But of course, Eskom at this stage is only testing the market. They'll go out to the market and they will come back and say, this is what we found, this is what people will be charging us. But it does not mean that they are going ahead at this very moment. And like I said, for the purposes of our viewers, it's very important that they also make the input into what kind of integrated energy plan they want to see for their energy future going forward.
Working then with public consultation. Liabo Setho, thank you very much. Live from the Department of Energy's briefing in Pretoria. Well, Agri Western Cape says it will participate